Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Wikia Star Showcase. Joining me today is Josh from the Halo Nation. Say hello, Josh.
All right. Hey.
Also joining me is Chad from Nukipedia. Say hello, Chad.
Hello.
Both of these Wikia stars are here today to join me to talk about the next-gen consoles and some of the things that we are excited or eager to see. So, getting right into it, the question for today is, what is one wish you have for the next-gen consoles? What is the thing that you're most looking forward to? What is the thing that you want to see out of it? This could be a game, it could be a trend, it could be a new piece of technology. The world is open to you. So before I talk about my wish for the next-gen consoles, why don't we talk to you first, Josh? Take us away.
I guess for the first thing I'd like to see most is really good online content for Destiny. And being as it's a cross-platform game, I'd like to see some interaction between the two servers, between PlayStation and Xbox. I'd love to be able to play with people on PlayStation, being as I don't have one, and I'd love them to be able to play with people on Xbox.
Wow, so you're looking for cross-platform friendships.
Yeah, basically.
You're trying to bridge the worlds together, Josh. I don't think this was meant to be.
It's going to have to be. It's my wish.
So tell us a little bit more. Like, what is it about Destiny that has you so excited, and why specifically the ability to play with other console players?
What was hammered on E3 the most was the cooperative gameplay of Destiny, and I think that's probably the most important bit. So there's no point having a cross-platform game which is focused on online cooperative play if you can't have shared servers. I hate the way that games are sort of segregated into single servers, one for PlayStation, one for Xbox, and then you're forced to either get one console or the other.
Does that mean that you've made your choice already? Do you have one console in mind as opposed to the other?
Xbox. I've always been an Xbox man, and I wouldn't be able to afford PlayStation on top of that. So
cool. Well, we'll probably end up talking a little bit about some of the online future stuff as well. But why don't we go to you, Chad, and get what is your one wish for the next gen consoles?
What I'm really excited to see is, back with PlayStation 3 and the last Xbox, there was talk about these potentially being the last consoles you'd ever have, and of course it's turned out to be a load of nonsense. But with cloud gaming, with things like Gaikai and OnLive finally being sort of built into these consoles, we actually could be about there now. We may not need, presuming everyone's internet connection can handle it, we may not need another set of hardware if we can just have some computer that can be updated by Sony and Microsoft out somewhere that we don't care, save us maybe another 300-400 currency units of your choice 5 years down the road.
Right. Is that something that you think, would you see yourself going towards that route if that were the case? Like, you would prefer not to have the actual physical copy of the game, and you would instead prefer to, say, stream it or buy it digitally, as Gaikai or OnLive promised to do?
Back when OnLive launched, I had a brilliant internet connection at the time, and they were doing an offer of get a game for £1. So who's going to refuse a AAA title for £1? And I was actually surprised simply by how well it works. And it does, as long as your internet connection can handle it. You've got on even the most meager machine, as long as it can display something on the screen, you've got effectively a top-level machine ready to go.
I think the interesting thing to me, though, is that both Josh's ask and yours for the next-gen consoles both demand really good online connectivity. The thing that I'm most eager to see out of the next-gen consoles is actually similar to both of yours, which is really good online features, specifically tying things into the social world or systems that we live in. We talk a lot about the way that there's Facebook sharing in games now. You could tweet things in certain games, and there's all these different ways to play with friends. And every single one of these, I think, demands a system in which everything is sort of interconnected. And we saw that when the Xbox One launched and they wanted to have online connectivity required, there was a big backlash against that. But don't you think that not having that anymore is sort of missing out on what made these next consoles particularly exciting? Like, if you have to make sure that everyone's online, then Josh, it's going to be way easier to have shared servers, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, the whole reverse of the DRM thing, I just don't understand it. I mean, like, it's a rash decision to switch, like, to change their whole game plan to going towards, like, mainly internet, like ensuring that their players were going to have good internet, consistent internet, and make sure that they were using their internet. Yeah, I think it was stupidity during the E3 announcement that caused people to come up with these wild accusations of what Xbox was asking from you, what Microsoft was asking from you. Yeah. So then the community lashed back and then forced them to go back on their word, and removing the DRM. Yeah, it's definitely ruined or dampened where they can go with the Xbox One now.
I don't think it was the community backlash at all that made Microsoft change their decision, because the community backlash 12 months before this was even announced, it was very clear if you were looking at sites like Ars Technica and Kotaku, where these things were being leaked 12 months before, that this was simply not going to fly. It was a case of Microsoft arrogantly assumed that Sony were going to do the same thing, and then got rather caught with their pants down when they didn't. Yeah. I am against, although I'm very excited about the possibility of cloud gaming, I am also against the idea of always online, particularly at this point. I used to work for an ISP until about 3 months ago, and having to explain to someone that because of some issue with their cable, their internet is going to be down for 5 to 10 days is not a nice conversation to have, and that's particularly when I probably want to start playing a game. If I'm playing a single-player game, there is no reason at the moment, until cloud gaming fully takes over, that I should not be able to do that.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. So with this in mind, right, we've got what we've got. We don't have the DRM thing, for good or worse, right? Are you guys pessimistic about the future of next-gen consoles? Do you think that your wish is actually something that will come true, or are you actually really hopeful about what's to come?
Not pessimistic. I'm optimistic, big time. With the evolution of technology in both the internet and with gaming, I think that this is perfectly viable. If sure we're limited by the go back and the DRM, maybe with more cloud gaming, as Chad said, we could offset quite a lot of the memory, etc., that was required on the hardware up onto the internet. But no, I'm kind of optimistic more than pessimistic.
Are you undermining the differentiation between the two consoles anyway if you're sharing a server?
Well, there isn't really much between them anymore. Under the hood, they're basically just an overglorified PC that you can pick up off a shelf. It really is that branding and online experience that is all that sets them apart anymore.
So, Chad, then, are you hopeful for your wish to come true? Are you hopeful? Well, we know that Sony purchased Gaikai a while back, so there's a very real possibility from Sony that cloud gaming is on the horizon. Is it something that you think is viable in the current market?
At the end of the day, this is a problem that isn't for the console makers because that problem's been solved. It's a problem for our government and for our telecommunications companies to actually get the infrastructure in place that will support it. Some places have got it, some places have got plans to get this ahead, other places are struggling with plans to maybe get 2 megabits one day where it's simply never going to fly. Yeah. So this is a plan for people outside, this is a problem for people outside the gaming industry, and they really have to get this sorted soon.
That's true. I, for one, am pretty hopeful. I'm a pretty optimistic kind of guy. I think that at least on my end, a lot of the cool social features are going to come down to what developers can think of and how they can integrate into those things. And in particular, Josh, if we can have games that are not isolated on one console network, and if we could be streaming games, then all of my asks, the cool social features, the ability to hang out with friends on the fly, drop in, drop out, all of that cool stuff, so much easier.
Exactly.
So before we head out, are there any last thoughts, any last wishes or final additions you want to add regarding the next-gen consoles? They're coming out soon, November 15th, November 22nd.
Well, one final wish is really for the various parts of Sony to start talking to each other and make sure that they keep talking to each other. We've got a company, in theory at least, that makes the TV shows that you watch, makes the movies that you watch, makes the TV that you watch it on, and makes the phone that you tell your friends about it. This one company just seem to have this inability to talk to each other and make sure that on my Sony TV I can play all these games and watch all these movies in one box, and I'd like to see them finally get that sorted.
All right, Josh, how about you?
My wish is for, I don't know, Microsoft to keep up their good work and to have a little bit more resolve in future with their DRM, just going back on themselves and make themselves look really stupid. So they've been really innovative with some of the ideas they've come up with. Well, maybe not innovative, but they've taken out the best parts of other gaming communities or like Steam, etc., like hosted games, online games, and sharing games.
Yeah.
And I think if they kept of it, sure, it's a bit of a gamble, but I think if they had kept of it, I think the community would have got used to it, and I think it would have really paid off for the whole of the community, the Xbox community at least.
I mean, those consoles are pretty locked down, but I think that there's hope yet for innovation, at least in both game design and some of the peripherals, certainly.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that's it for today. Thanks, everybody, for coming on and watching us. Thanks so much, Josh. Thanks so much, Chad, for joining us. I really enjoyed the chat.
No problem.
Cool.
Good.
Thanks again, everybody. We'll be back shortly. Ciao.